Hi everyone, welcome to Sprouts LinkedIn Live. I am Avi, I'm the co-founder here at Sprouts.ai, and today we are going to talk about B2B sales framework, conversations that close. This has been a perennial problem, like what to do, how to do a meaningful conversations. And we have a stellar guest today with us, Richard, who is a founder of Harris Consulting Group, and he's also a Forex Salesforce sales influencer and comes over 20 years of SaaS training and like one of the interesting piece which have come up with how to earn right to ask questions, close deal faster, and increase pipeline velocity. He has worked with top companies like Google, Zoom, Visa, Salesforce, and many more to refine sales processes, shorten the sales cycle, and improve forecasting accuracy. Today, we will learn in his sales framework and how to close more deals in 2025. Richard, thank you so much for taking our time and talking to us. Really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm always happy to help, and I know closing is always a top of mind topic for everybody in a revenue capacity. So whether you're sales, customer success, I got it. I got it. So ask away.
All right. So we have like a lot many things to cover, but Richard, you had a commendable journey spanning over 2 decades, working with top companies like Zoom, Google, Salesforce. How did you start in sales, and what were the key experiences or lessons
Yeah.
that shaped your
So
approach? Yeah.
I'm one of the rare few who actually knew I was going to go into sales. Most of
Mm-hmm.
us are sort of a dumpster fire of other failed careers.
Mm-hmm.
Like what else do I have left? Um, but I knew early on I liked sales. Both my parents were in sales. My mom was a stockbroker. Um, she also sold television advertising when cable first came out, like when ESPN ran repeats of football games from Saturday
Oh.
before they could do live broadcasts. My dad sold insurance, so I was sort of surrounded by this business mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my first job in high school was at the Gap, folding clothes and selling clothes, and the first sales process I ever learned was called Gap Act, which was greet, approach, product knowledge, add on, close, and thank you. And so I've just always known I was going to do it. So that's how I got into it. Um, but what else can I tell you? I want to help other people. I can talk about me all day, but I don't think that's what people want. So
No, this is pretty interesting, right? Like from Gap to leading sales and training people in SaaS sales and helping them grow. Very very exciting one. Richard, can you talk more about uh, key frameworks to train teams in full funnel strategy? What makes somebody very effective in closing deals? What are those key
yeah,
elements that one should focus on to be very effective in closures?
yeah. There are two parts, and I'm very different, right? If
Okay.
Medic works for you, use Medic, right? If Anim works for you, if my philosophy methodology Neat works for you, Neat selling, that's great. I don't believe in ripping and replacing. What's different, what it really comes down to is a reps being trained on
Mhm.
not just what to say, but how to say it. Like sometimes we have to actually give the people the words they need to say. For example, I've got two teenage boys. It's
Okay.
one thing for me to teach them say no to drugs and alcohol and all those kind of things. It's another thing to give them the words to use in that moment when they're confronted, because they're going to be like, I'm no idiot, right? Like I have to teach them to say, hey, my parents will take my car away if I get caught with this. Like I
Mhm.
can't afford to do that. Hey, I'm
Yep.
trying to go to this cool summer program. I can't afford to do that. Because in that moment of peer pressure, the brain shuts off, the amygdala and fear takes over. It's the same thing that happens in sales. So, one is we have to teach people how to say it. When they know how to say it, it improves their courage and confidence. So, there's also a part of the human
Mhm.
element has to be willing to ask those questions that may feel uncomfortable. The reason they're uncomfortable is because A, nobody taught us how to ask them, or B, we don't really get to that part of the sales conversation that often, right? So by the time we get to the discount conversation, we've had 30 other discovery calls, but we've only had 2 discount conversations. So my practice isn't there. So that's the big piece. So you've got to have a certain level of courage and confidence, and then know what to say, and then trust the process that's what's going to happen, that it will work, right? And that you can adjust as needed. Those to me are the 2 biggest things.
Got it. Got it. Interesting analogy you have brought up, Richard. One thing which I wanted to check. What makes a salesperson very successful? Somebody who is really good at relationship building, or somebody who is really good at solutioning, right? Because today we are seeing that buyers are more and more technical in terms of how they buy a product, right? And they need really good, they are looking for expertise in sales. They can guide us in terms of what kind of solution you should buy. So very, very tactical kind of a question, Richard, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, my first thought is that I don't know that our buyers are any smarter than they ever were. I don't believe that. I think that's BS, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
How many of us as buyers study how to buy? How many of us as buyers study how to negotiate, how to research, how to look at who my buyer's personality is? Salespeople do that all the time. That's our
Absolutely.
job. So
Yes.
now the buyer, I think, comes in thinking they know what they need, which is what they've always thought, right? And they certainly don't want to appear stupid.
Got it.
However, they don't know, because they don't ask them. They themselves don't even know how to ask the right questions. They themselves don't even know how to come in and say, hey, Avinash, look, the reason I'm talking to you about sales training is because my team missed the number by 40%. My goals are going up by this, and our forecasting is off. Nobody ever tells me that unless I ask them. They just come to me with generic phrases like, we need sales training and prospecting training. So I don't believe that the buyer is that much smarter than they used to be. That being said, that doesn't mean the buyer's dumb. It doesn't mean they're stupid and you can take advantage of them. It just means that we have to provide a different experience. There's this belief that there's a buyer's journey. There is no such thing as a buyer's journey. Right? I do not believe in it at all. I believe there's only a buyer's experience through the journey. Even if a buyer comes inbound, there's either an experience they had that they want to avoid, or there's an upcoming experience they want to prevent. It's experiential.
Yes.
So the journey is a seller's journey through marketing and sales that we create to provide an excellent buyer's experience. So I flip that upside down on my head. I'm going to shameless plug, have to do it. Seller's Journey, my book, it's all in there. It's on Amazon. Comes with, it's the only sales book with a money back guarantee. I'll send you your money back if you hate it. But
what's that? Can you repeat that? Seller's Journey? That's
the Seller's Journey. Yeah, it's called the Seller's Journey.
All right.
Anyway, go ahead. Next question. Yeah. So I got on a rant there. Sorry.
Yeah. So Richard, you brought up a very interesting point, which is like buyer experience, right? Let's say I'm a newbie salesperson. What are things I should keep in mind to give best in class buyer experience, right? When I'm in front of
that's a really good question. One is, remember when you're talking to someone, even if they come in a little grumpy, like, oh, I hate salespeople, they're looking for some level of leadership from you to help them understand their pains. We need to get them to paint pictures of their pain. People don't buy words, they buy pictures. They don't buy, hey, our process or our service will make you more efficient and effective. So can everybody else, right? What they really want to know is, hey, if your accounting department is struggling with this manual process every 2 weeks because of payroll, and you feel like they're wasting a ton of time doing X, Y, and Z, well, that's where we help. So we've got to get them, we have to ask questions that help them paint their picture, and we have to get them to say it out loud, not us. Right? And we can't really come in and go, Avinash, look, if I bet your accounting team is spending countless hours doing such and such, like, that's not good. If I come in and say, hey, how much time is your accounting team spending on this process? Right. Yeah. And if you could get a little bit of that time back, what would they be doing? And based on what they would be doing, How does that help your growth? How does that help your profitability? That's the kind of stuff that leads to a really, really positive buyer's experience,
Got
right?
it.
And it allows us to lead them a little bit without taking total control.
Got it. Got it. No, very, very interesting point of view. Richard, you also, your philosophy of earning the right to ask question
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
interesting, and we would love to know more about it. Can
Yeah,
you break
yeah,
it down for us in
yeah, yeah.
details? How do
Super
this?
easy.
Yeah.
Super, super easy. So, I have this thing where at the beginning of a call, we do what's called a respect contract, where we confirm time, the goals of the call, an agenda, the potential outcomes of a call, as well as, a transition statement into actual discovery. So just role play along with me on this one so people can listen to it, right? So Avinash, like, hey, I've got us down for 30 minutes. Does that still work for you?
Yes.
Great, great. Any hard stops? I want to be super conscious of your time.
Yep. I will. I'll keep you posted.
Great. Well, maybe in 25 minutes we'll just call a timeout and see where we're at. I think we're both here on a fact-finding mission, to just sort of figure out what each other can do. And I know I've got some questions for you, and you've got some questions for me. So make sure we spend time on that. Is there anything in particular you want to make sure we discuss today around sales training? Just so I make sure we hit that topic.
Yeah, I have a team of like 4 people, and I want to, and these are like a young graduates. We have just
Okay.
onboarded them. Can you help me how to kickstart the
Yeah.
training?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to plan.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what we're going to cover. So we'll probably even start there, actually. Before we move on, though, I just want to make sure that you know that if at any point you feel like I can't help you, just say so. You won't offend me. Been doing this a while. And likewise, if I can't help you, I'll be the first to tell you. I don't need to chase you down. I don't need to try and sell you something that isn't in your what you're looking for. And frankly, most of us in this business, we all know each other. We know our swim lane. So if I can't help you, I'll tell you who you should talk to. Plus, I don't really want to send a bunch of reaching out, checking in, and touching base emails that I'm sure you get on a daily basis. So I don't need that. Is that fair?
That's fair. That's fair. Please
Great.
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So just at a high level, what makes you even want to have this conversation? What's happening over there that makes you want to have this conversation? So we'll stop right there. But
Got
that's a
it.
respect contract, right? I confirmed time. I confirmed our goals that we're both here. I confirmed a mini agenda that we're going to ask each other questions. That gave me
Got
permission to ask you questions. I just
it.
earned the right to do that. I asked you specifically, what did you want to talk about? So that I made sure I cover that. I then transitioned into either one of us can walk away. So now there's no power structure. Frankly, in my head, I have more power than my buyer, but in reality, it's we both have equal power, and that's fine. And then I transition in such a way that I'm asking you to paint a picture. Hey, what's happening over there? Which is
Got
very
it.
different than me saying, why did you want to take this call? Why is a very personal question. So asking you to describe a situation that is sort
Hmm.
of outside your physical, emotional being allows us to jump into that discovery. So that's called a respect contract. That's how
Absolutely.
you earn the right to ask questions.
Got it. Got it. And Richard, many a times I have seen that sales people, they are very hesitant to have the conversation which you had just now with me, right? Like they just go with a very standard flow
Oh, I
of
know.
asking a discovery. But what you mentioned makes a lot of sense, and that is where like you are going to stand out
Yeah.
because you are
That's
going
and
to.
that's the difference, right? Like I say this all the time that people don't just buy from us because of what we do. They also
Mhm.
buy on how we do it. How did
Yeah.
we have that? This goes back to having that buyer's experience
Hmm.
more important than this buyer's journey, right?
Absolutely.
This person, the only part of the journey that may occur is the time someone puts a form field in, right? They might when they hit the inbound. But even then, as I said, they've gone through some experience, so they're trying to prevent a negative experience, which makes them interested in wanting to talk. So there's some level of experience associated with this.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Yep, that makes complete sense. I was also studying about your going through your LinkedIn profile, Richard. One post of yours mentioned that objection handling is useless,
Yeah.
and a rep should instead marinate in objection with intent,
Yeah.
right? Can you
Yeah.
help us understand that? Like,
Yeah.
what does
So
that mean? How do you come up
yeah.
with this? And
Well, I came up with it because I was like everybody else. I did it wrong. So believe me, I am not perfect. So, it used to be, oh, these are the standard objections, pricing, competitor, do nothing, build versus buy, whatever. And we were given the big book of objections. When they say this, you say this.
yeah.
And it was how to be combative to that objection,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, that I don't think helps, right?
Okay.
Nobody wants to be handled. You can ask my wife. She's like, I don't need you to handle me. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you're right. I need to marinate in that, right? I need to, if someone says, well, we're looking at the competition, I need to spend time going, great. What do you like about the competition?
Hmm.
What are
Hmm.
you concerned? What are you concerned that they can do better than we can?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Right?
Got
Because a lot of times, a prospect will even say to us, like, hey, can you do X, Y, or Z? And
it. Hmm.
sometimes we can't, right?
Yeah.
Someone might come to me and say, hey, Richard, do you do assessments of the sales team before you do training? And I
Hmm.
don't. And I don't
Yeah.
have a workaround. I simply am honest with them and I say, no, actually, I don't because I already know what the assessment is. The
Hmm. Hmm.
assessment is your team's not performing. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking. Someone's going to charge you $25,000 to do an assessment to tell you what I just told you, which you're more than welcome to go do. But let me ask you a question. How important is that assessment piece to you making this decision?
Got it.
That's what I need to know. When they
Understood.
say, can you do this? Well, we all freak out
Yeah.
thinking, oh my God, we're going to lose the deal. When in fact, they might just be curious.
Yeah.
So what we really need to know is not can we do what they do, but how important is that to them in making the decision?
Got it.
That's
Got
the
it.
important piece. So you have to marinate in it. When they say, well, can you lower your price? Well, let's talk about that for a second. What were you expecting? How did you
Right.
come up with that number?
Right.
Right. And then for me, I say this all the time. Well, our pricing is based on what the market will dictate. How would you like to proceed? Now,
Okay.
if I've overpriced myself by 30%,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know,
Yep.
shame on me, right?
Yep.
But if my buyer's coming in wanting to buy a Ferrari and pay, for a Ford, not
Hmm.
going to happen, right?
Got
So, so you have to marinate in there. Now, I'm saying with a certain level of attitude and energy, say it a little nicer, be a little more gentle. Like it's, we got 20 minutes to keep people somewhat mildly entertained. So, be a little more
it.
kind than the way you hear Richard saying it. But I hope you get the message to everybody who's
No, no,
listening.
no. Got it, got it, got it. And I think that was a very good real life example which you have shared, right? Like I think people out here will correlate to it, right? Like
Yeah.
this is something I do sales for my startup here, Richard, right?
Uh-huh.
Like this is a very good takeaway which I'm going to use. I'm immediately after this live, I'm getting on a call, right?
Okay.
And pretty sure
Good.
there will be a lot of
Let me,
objections which will be thrown at me, but
yeah.
I'm going to marinate within
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Just marinate and say, so what, just, hey, and this is the best way to answer that. Not
Mm-hmm.
the best. A very good way is to say, hey, in order for me to give you the best answer to your question,
Mm-hmm.
what is it you're thinking about as you ask me that question?
Got it.
That's a real because there's a picture in their head that they're not articulating. Now, I
Yes.
don't know that I would use that particular approach if they asked me about pricing. Like I know why they're asking about pricing. But if they're asking about a feature or the roadmap or something, it's like, hey, for me to give you the best answer around this particular part of our service,
Hmm.
what are you imagining that's making you ask the question so I answer it properly? And it's almost like a customer success approach because that's what customer success does all the time. Hey, before I answer that question on what you're trying to accomplish, help me understand a little bit more. Then I can give you the best answer. So,
Got it. Got it. Got it. No, this makes like complete sense, Richard. Uh, we have just started with 2025, and like sales
mhm.
professional who are already like failing behind or falling
Yeah,
behind
yeah,
their Q1 quota.
yeah,
What are the most common mistakes that put them at risk if they want to turn things around quickly? What are the areas they should assess? What are few tactical
yeah.
changes they should make?
Yeah.
to improve their close
So,
rates tomorrow?
well, first thing is look at your leadership and see if they are even being realistic with your goals, right?
Hmm.
If leaders are smoking hopium, as I like to say, and thinking you're going to hit those numbers, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
I think you have to get very disciplined in your approach, right?
Hmm.
Even if you're an AE with an SDR team with a lead gen support, you still need to be prospecting yourself into 5 to 10 different accounts.
Hmm.
Don't leave it to the SDR team. The most successful AEs I know are the ones who self-source some of their business.
Hmm.
So that's
Hmm.
the first thing. The second thing that you can do, um, particularly around this discipline piece, and I lack this because I have ADHD, um, is I color code my calendar. So my calendar is red, yellow, and green.
Okay.
Green is anything revenue. That could
Okay.
be my prospecting time. That could
Okay.
be my sales calls. That
Okay.
could be anything that's touching that. Yellow might be pipeline reviews or one-on-ones, that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. Coaching, things that tangentially touch revenue. Red
Yeah.
is everything else. And
Got it.
what ends up happening when you do that is that you actually see in your calendar how much green you have. And if you
Hmm.
don't have a lot of green going on, you know where you need to focus, right?
Got it.
You either
Got
need more sales meetings or you're going to need, more prospecting time. So
it. Got
that's
it.
the first thing. The
Hmm.
second thing I would tell people to do is self-educate. Don't wait for your company to come to you. If you're
Okay.
behind in pipeline growth, well, you better be reading about some best practices in pipeline growth, right?
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
tons of stuff on the internet, right?
Yes.
There's
Yes.
tons of like, hey, give me the top 10 emails for this persona in this vertical in this entity industry, and these are our pain points. Like, there's no reason you can't go use something to help you get better, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So self-education, those are the things that matter the most. The, oh my God, I need to bang out more phone calls. Oh my God, I need to do that. Sure, you have to make time for that.
Hmm.
But if you're lacking a certain level of skill,
Hmm.
the only thing you're really going to accelerate is the suck. You're not going to accelerate your pipeline. You're just going to accelerate the suck. So maybe your problem isn't prospecting. Maybe you got a bunch of stuff that's not converting. Well, I need to go listen to those calls and figure out why I'm not converting. I need to get a peer to listen to these calls and tell me, what did I miss? Help me get better. Help me role play. So you got to take it on yourself. Don't wait for other people to give it to you because they're not going to.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Richard, very interesting point you brought up, which is like successful A's spend a lot of time on self prospecting.
Mhm.
Uh, what do you recommend, right? Like, I know it varies from industry to industry, company to
Mhm.
company, but in your experience, you have trained like multiple folks on sales side. Is there any percentage of time they should allocate on prospecting? Like, if you have to give me an advice, right? Like, hey, Avinash, you have to spend like 20% of your time in a day in
I don't,
prospecting.
it depends on where you are, right? If you're a seasoned sales rep and you've
Mm-hmm.
done prospecting and that's kind of why I like to color code the calendar because I can see
Got
how
it.
much I'm actually doing in prospecting and go,
Got
oh, shoot, if I'm a brand new AE or
it.
I'm an AE that's not used to prospecting, I
Hmm.
don't want to throw out to this AE, gosh, you need to spend 20% of your time prospecting, which means 8 hours a week. It's not going to happen, right? It's like, hey, go start your diet to lose 20 pounds, right?
Hmm.
Not going to work that way. For that particular person, I want them the first week, I want them to make 2 cold calls a day, maybe 5. I
Got it.
want them to get their feet wet. I want to recognize them as humans, that this
Hmm.
is uncomfortable because humanity matters,
Yes.
authenticity matters. So I want to acknowledge that rep as like, okay, I get it. You haven't done this in a while, or you're not comfortable with it. Let's put together your script and let's do some role plays on cold calling and writing some emails. And then you know what? We're going to make sure that you do 3 phone calls today, every day this week. That's 15 phone calls this week. Okay.
Got it.
That's what, 60 calls in a month.
Yep.
Okay. Is that going to revolutionize the pipeline? Maybe
Hmm.
not, but maybe it will. but more importantly, they're starting to exercise that outbound muscle. That's the
Got
part that I think people overlook, is they don't recognize where humans are in that evolution of prospecting. And you've got to get them to start somewhere, and don't make it ridiculous.
Got it. Got it. That leads to my next question, which is the buzzword, which is AI. Right
Yeah.
now, a lot of things are getting automated,
Yeah.
like writing emails,
Right.
helping you close more deals with a lot of insights. How do you see AI changing sales conversations, and where do you think rep needs to be careful and not to rely on AI too much? Right, like what are pros and what are cons, and what's overall your view on this AI plus, like in the sales domain
Well,
overall?
I think it's super helpful, right? I think, the place that I like it the most right now, where I really like it is in that complex sales cycle, where I can
Okay.
have it help me say, hey, I'm speaking to this person LinkedIn profile, this person to LinkedIn profile, this person LinkedIn profile, and I'm trying to articulate our value prop to each of their particular pains based on this vertical, based on this industry. Can you give me some bullet points that will resonate? And how do I make sure this all gets done in a 30-minute call?
Hmm.
Right now, is the AI going to spit out the perfect thing? No, but it's going to spit out enough very quickly to you that you're now using your brain more creatively and strategically, versus sort of in this fear-based, I hope I say the right thing. It may spit out the wrong thing, but that's going to point you in the direction of the right thing. That's
Yeah.
the part I really like about AI. When I have,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
most of the recording tools do this now, though,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when it can write the summary of the conversation,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, I'm still so, old school that I actually still take manual notes, even though I have a recorder, because
Mm-hmm.
I like my notes to be done in a structured way. And then
Mm-hmm.
I send my notes to my prospect. And the reason I'm still doing that, by the way, is to show
Hmm.
them that I'm listening and that I'm not being lazy.
Hmm.
If I just let them get the notes from the system, I'm just being lazy. And that's not a good experience,
Got it.
in my opinion. How
Got
do I
it.
stand out? Because I'm different, because I do things that touch humans. So I think there are places for it. I also think the other place that's what's happening, and I won't mention. There's a company I advise for, but I can't mention it because you didn't ask me
Sure.
to. Um,
Sure.
but they built a tool. Look, we all know about the sales automation tools that are out there, right? And the conversational intelligence. And what I learned, and I had this conversation last week with this founder, is that all those tools are great, right? They're fantastic. The
Hmm.
interesting piece is that AI is being bolted on to those tools, as
Hmm.
opposed to this one tool that I know that's built from the ground up,
Got it.
where AI is inclusive within the way it actually works from the beginning. Now, is one better than the other? I like the idea of it being built from the ground up that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I'm smart enough to know to tell you otherwise. I
Hmm.
know some nuances and differences, right? Um, I think that's where AI is there. It's there to enhance us. It's not ready to replace us. And
Got it.
everybody who thinks it's going to replace us are the same people who ran to all these sales engagement tools thinking they were going to replace the SDRs and BDRs. And all they did was accelerate the suck, because they kept throwing more man and more machine, or woman, sorry about that, or whatever, however you identify, sorry. Um, you know, they kept throwing people and bodies at the problem with the technology. They didn't necessarily get smarter with the
Got it.
technology. I think the AI is going to help us get there.
Got it. Got it. I completely echo that thought, Richard. Right? It's going to enhance our skills to do better
Yeah.
sales and more
Yeah.
intelligent conversations.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, yeah, we are like about time, Richard. Right?
Yeah.
And but before you drop, I have one last question. You have been recognized as top sales influencer by Salesforce multiple times over, which is an incredible achievement. Congratulations on
Thank you.
that. That's truly commendable. What's one lesson you would share with sales professional who are just getting started or struggling, right? But aspire to build a successful career like yours. Like one piece of advice which you'd like to share with.
Yeah, this is a really good. This is a really fun question, and this is going to be a little bit personal too.
Sure.
Um, I think and this is not my philosophy, but I stick with it. I think we all need a personal board of directors to
Okay.
help us. And here's what that means. I
Yeah.
need a mentor to help
Okay.
me, even me, to help me with my business growth, right?
Mhm.
Someone who's
Mhm.
going to call me out. If I'm a new sales rep, I need that mentor. If I'm in life, I kind of need someone on my personal board of directors to help me with personal relationships. Right? I've got a friend like I'm like, look, I'm married for 17 years. Of course, we have a perfect marriage, like everybody I know. But I
Mhm.
have a friend who's on my board of directors say, hey, Kathy and I are, what am I not getting about my wife? Clearly, there's something I'm not getting. I have a financial person on my board of directors. I might have a spiritual person. For me, spirituality is I actually have adult coloring books and I do meditation. For others,
Yeah.
it could be someone in the clergy. Like I'm not anti-religion at all. So I think we need to have these personal board of directors, not just this one mentor in my career. Now,
Mm.
if you're early in your career, you might start with one or two. Totally fair, totally fine.
Got
But
it.
don't just pigeonhole yourself into, I need a mentor to be successful in life. No, you need lots of mentors along the way, and you've probably already had some along the way. So
Got it.
that's it. Now, I will say for people to go and find a business mentor or a sales mentor. I will
Mm.
also, I know we're on time, but oh well.
No,
Um,
no.
the what I will say is, and I have people call me all the time. I will talk to anybody about sales,
Yeah.
anybody, right? I
Yeah.
will gladly give you advice. And if
Yeah.
people ask me about mentoring, I'd be like, sure, I'm happy to mentor you. But Avinash, look, I'm a white American man. I don't know what it's like to be you. I don't know
Yeah.
what it's like to be you selling into America. So
Yep.
find someone like you, right? If
Mm.
you are an African American woman or someone from the LGBT community, yes,
Yep.
I'll still help, but I
Yep.
know where my limits are. I
Yes.
know that there are certain parts of your life experience that I can speak to and give
Mm.
advice, but I
Mm.
don't know that I know how to be an African American woman in sales. I'm pretty sure I don't check that box. So,
Yep.
and I know some great African American women. I'd be happy to introduce you to somebody, right? So you can have more than one mentor.
Got
Try
it.
to find a mentor that helps you, that you feel like you can connect with, but also try to find someone who's kind of like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause, you know,
Yeah.
you could be a cisgen woman, right? You could still just be a straight white woman. And I still don't know what that's like to be, one of two women in a room of 10 men. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm, I'm one of the 10 guys. So find that person who can help you speak and find your voice.
Got it.
I think is a really critical piece. And then the last piece of advice is just learn something.
Got it.
Just learn one little thing a day. Go read one LinkedIn post a day. Go read one sign up for my newsletter, which comes out once a week. Do one thing to make yourself better.
Got it. Got
That's
it.
that's my advice. That was, again, sorry for the rant.
No, 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 no. I think I'm going to walk away. This is the most interesting advice, Richard. Right? Like get a mentor at
Yeah,
different stages, and that's very important.
yeah.
Uh,
By the way,
I'm,
when you choose your board of, I'm going to give one last little piece of advice. When you
yeah.
choose your board of directors, here's how you
Mhm.
do it. Because say this is, I got to tell you what the words to say, right? Say, you pick up the phone and I'll call Sally and say, hey, Sally, look, you know what? You've been in sales and business for 10 years more than me. I'm nominating you to be on my personal board of directors to help me solve these three problems. Do you accept the nomination? Like
Okay.
literally be cheeky about it, have some fun with it, acknowledge their experience. And by saying, do you accept the nomination? You're willing to let them say to you, I'm too busy right now. You
Yes.
have to, you have to let them say that. But you
Yeah.
can do it in a way, which is the way I suggest it, granted, it fits my personality. It's a whole lot different than, hey, I was wondering, could I call you for advice from time to time? No, come on, own it, be it,
Yeah.
take it, get it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah. No, wonderful, wonderful. Richard, I know, like I can continue this for another hour, but I think we are limiting with
Yeah,
time.
we're
But
over. Thank you,
yeah,
everybody, for sticking around and listening to me pontificate about how smart I think I am. So, I appreciate it.
thank you so much, Richard. I thoroughly
All right.
enjoyed this conversation,
Me
and
too, man. Love it. Love it. Thank you,
everyone,
Sprouts. Yeah,
yeah,
thank you to Sprouts for doing
yeah.
this. So,
We'll connect soon and talk soon, Richard. Lovely,
okay,
lovely with you. Bye bye.
take care. Bye.
Bye.